Welcome to the call. If you missed the title, it's Sex. Are you kidding me? And we're glad you're here tonight. This is a spot that you need to be. So we're excited you called in and eager to learn more together. If you're new to conference calls, welcome. A quick tip: if you have kids in the background or animals in the background, the thing you need to remember is that *6 will mute your phone, so you can continue to listen, but then we don't hear your background noise. So if you do have kids or animals or a squeaky chair or a cough, just go ahead and mute your phone *6, and if you need to respond to something, you can unmute by hitting *6. So there's just some logistics. Another tidbit before we really get into the call here is that this call is being recorded, so we will edit this hour phone call and edit out names that I've already said at the beginning of the call, so you don't have to worry about that. And later in the call, if there's opportunity to ask questions, you do not have to say your name. Just say, I have a question, and then go into it, and Erin Fay will field your questions at that point. So why don't we get started? My name is Becky Denham, and tonight I'm joined by Erin Fay Franz, the Passion Coach, and we're so excited for those of you who've joined us for the call. Welcome, Erin Fay. Can we hear your voice?
Thank you, Becky. Sure appreciate it.
Hey, we're glad to have you. I'd like to share just a little about myself for those of you who don't know me, and then I'll invite Erin Fay to go ahead and introduce herself. And her name is Erin Fay. It's hyphenated, and maybe she can speak to that. So it's kind of 2-in-1, bonus deal. So when you do refer to her, you can say Erin Fay. So and I'm Becky. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a trained life coach with a special focus on moms of twins. Having twins was one of the hardest things I've done in my life. And I've found that nobody gets it like other twin moms. It's important to be encouraged by other twin moms who just get it. I love being a mom and connecting with other moms about real life. I kind of get bored just about the details about what kind of twin strollers to use. I think that's not really the real stuff that moms want to talk about anyway. So I like to cut right to the chase, hence the topic of sex tonight. So I'm glad you all joined us. My favorite parts of coaching are asking open-ended questions that my clients get to answer with their answers. I coach on the telephone and consider it a huge privilege to partner with women to move them forward to a more satisfied life. I'm married to my husband, Jason, of 8 years, and I have identical twin daughters who are 4, Anna and Rachel, and a son, Caleb, who's 2. So I'd like to pass the torch to Erin Fay. And Erin Fay, would you tell us, maybe introduce yourself briefly, and then also go on to just tell a bit more about how you became the Passion Coach?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Becky.
Sure.
Yes, like you mentioned, I do have a double-barreled first name, Erin Fay. I was born in Vancouver, British Columbia, but I was born to Texan parents, and it's a very southern thing to have 2 names, and so they gave me that. So I am now living in Toronto, BC. I am married to the love of my life, my husband, Eric. We've been married for nearly 13 years now. We spent a long time trying to figure out whether we were going to actually get married. We dated on and off for 6 years. So we have been in each other's lives for quite a number of years, but we finally decided to pull the trigger after 6 years, and marriage has been much easier than dating ever was for us. And we have a 6-year-old daughter, Riley, who's in grade 1, and we just adore her and have a lot of fun with her. She keeps us on our toes and keeps us guessing all the time. We figure we have maybe 1 or 2 years before she outthinks us both, and then we're going to have to go to some serious parenting classes or something. I don't know what we're going to do then. So But I took the circuitous route to becoming Canada's Passion Coach. I started out by getting a law degree, of all crazy things. I did my law degree on international law at the University of Glasgow in Scotland, and had always anticipated practicing law for my entire life. When Riley was born, it was a fairly difficult labor and delivery process. It was 53 hours of labor and delivery, and the net result was that there was extensive trauma to my pelvic floor during that experience. It took about 8 months to heal my body completely from the delivery experience, and in that time period, Eric and I really went from what, prior to my delivery of Riley, had been a very good, decent, normal, I would venture to say, sex life, and we went through a period of having a sexless marriage because it was just far too painful for me to even venture into that area. And the thing that I realized was that there was nobody to talk to. So when Riley was old enough for me to go back to work, I made the decision that I was going to work with other women so that nobody else had to go through what I had gone through. And I really began my studying and my research and my training at that time. I studied with a master trainer at Lominger Institute, which is a very renowned organization in the United States that does training for all of the Fortune 100 companies, and they have business coaches who work with them. One of their master trainers trained me in the art of coaching. I was then fortunate enough to get on with Michelle Weiner Davis, who's an internationally renowned therapist out of Boulder, Colorado, and she did some training with me on her solutions-oriented brief therapy style of methodology. And I am now a part of the International Coaching Federation as well. So what I do is I do coaching with women, I do coaching with couples on their sex lives specifically. I also do speaking engagements. I write quite frequently. I do TV, I do radio, and all sorts of things. And my desire is really honestly to help people have the sex life of their dreams, what they're really hoping and dreaming for, that they can actually make happen in their lives.
And Erin, would you tell us also too, I know some of the callers are church goers. Would you tell about your program that you're really lighting the fire underneath for churches?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, my father was actually a pastor on the coast before we returned to Texas. So, and he was a very unusual pastor in the sense that he used to talk about sex quite frequently and very openly. In fact, it was, whenever some of my girlfriends in high school had any questions, I would take them home at lunch and have a conversation with my father or my mother over dinner. While we're munching on our Doritos, we'd be talking about oral sex and crazy things like that. And in hindsight, that just seems so absurd, but it was the realities of my life when I was growing up. We just had a very open perspective on this. So I realized as I got older that this is unusual in the church, that the vast majority of churchgoers are very closed on the subject and they really don't know who they can talk to, and it's still very taboo in a lot of circles to talk about these subjects. And so I have written a course called The Essential Elements of Sex. It's an 8-week course that I do for churches. If they're churches that are outside of my province, I do it in a weekend setting. And what I do is I run them through what the key components to having a really good sex life, what they look like, what you need to be working on, and I work with couples so that they can cross the gender divide on how they communicate with each other, and then really kick things into gear so they can get the sex life that they're wanting.
Awesome. Thanks. And, being a coach myself, Erin Fay, I'm curious, too, about what you most love about your job as a passion coach.
I absolutely love it when people see genuine and lasting change in their relationships. I'm really about making the changes. They're not necessarily razzle-dazzle. They're not necessarily, big
That's
fireworks.
good to hear.
They're about the slow, small changes that you make with intentionality, and you make them consistently over a period of time, so that when you look back 3 months later or 6 months later or 5 years later, you go, oh my goodness, look how far I have come just by taking those little steps and doing them and applying them consistently to your life. And the biggest rush for me as a coach is when somebody comes up to me and says, you saved my marriage. Because that's really what it's all about for me. If I had to sum it up, it's about keeping couples happy in their relationship so that their relationship really can span decades together.
Yeah, what a gift. And, just as I was listening to you, Erin Fay, I was thinking, boy, it's a real relief that we don't have to be razzle-dazzle. And it's nice to know that it's a series of small steps to put you back on the path. I mean, I feel like part of your story is mine, in that I had traumatic delivery, vaginal delivery with my twins, and it took a long time to heal, and I just kept thinking, oh, my husband's so patient, but that's not enough. And there are other options, and I'm excited to go there tonight in that conversation and learn more from you. So we're excited. I did want to follow up with you, Erin Fay. We had talked previous to this call, and I asked you to coach me through. I have an opportunity to do a boudoir photography session. I want to let you know that I went through with it.
Awesome! Congratulations to you.
Well, it was wonderful. Initially I wouldn't say, oh, I'm so excited to do this. I heard about it and thought I'm going to run the other way. But my initial thought was, this is so impractical. I don't have any cute lingerie. I need to buy all new panties. And who on earth sits around in their panties naked or close to naked, especially after delivering, twins and then another one? Who wants, So I thought, why am I going to pay someone to photograph me? And so that was where I was. But, you challenged me to do it, and I did it. And I decided I'm going to go for this. Initially, I thought, I'm going to do this for my husband, for some tasteful pictures of me for Valentine's Day. It's early February. And then after I kind of got over that initial decision, I thought, no, I'm going to do this because it's important for me. It's important to me. I had to think through a lot of different things. I had to kind of challenge myself on why I'm doing this and why do I want to feel beautiful in my own skin. And it was really helpful. I mean, it's hard to take time for these things as a busy mom to twins and a toddler. So for those who don't know about boudoir photography, would you tell us a bit more about what you understand it to be, Erin Fay, and how you found other people, maybe similar or different to my experience?
Yes, and I understand it from various different clients that I've had who have gone and done it. And what it is there is a photographer who is very good at making you feel comfortable in your environment, and you take photos that are, like you mentioned, in lingerie or in underwear, and they're photos that are meant to be sensual. I wouldn't even say necessarily sexy, or I wouldn't use those terms, but meant to be sensual. And they're obviously photos that are going to be private for you and your husband.
Yes.
And but most of the photographers that I know who do this are superb at helping women relax and really enjoy the experience. And I think there is something about coming to an acceptance of your body just as it is. And we all have those parts on our bodies that we don't want to acknowledge exist. We want them to go away. We're so tired of them. And I think that's a very common experience for a woman. But photography, using the lighting and using the how you position your body, it can make you look so, it can be so flattering to your figure. And it's really something of just coming to a place of self-acceptance of, this is who I am, and I am a sensual woman, and I'm designed to be a sensual woman regardless of whether I'm perfect, regardless of whether I have the body I want to have or not.